There are many people who have been wrongly dismissed from their, jobs. Maybe you've been wrongly transferred, and all kinds of harassment that goes on out there. We're here this afternoon. We've got our lawyer with us, and I'm sure that he's going to let us understand what we need to do under such circumstances. Now, you know him already. He's been on the show a couple of times. I'm talking about lawyer Obri Yeboah. He's a private legal practitioner, and my main guy who streams live Facebook, the program on Facebook for me, says he loves this lawyer. Reason also being that he was also born on a Tuesday. Forgetting that I was also born on a Tuesday. All right, so good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, David.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good.
Good to have you.
It's all Tuesday born affair.
Before we delve into this issue as to concerns people have in relation to the work they do, and all the challenges that emanate as to whether they have a case and they can take up the matter in court and all. Before we delve into all that, would you say that Ghanaians make use of courts well enough?
I would say yes, and to some extent I will also say no. But before then, let me say good afternoon to our discerning listeners, and we hope they are doing well. And then also let me say congratulations to the new executives of the Ghana Bar Association Ashanti Region. Actually, their mandate was affirmed at the last general meeting of the bar, and they are going to lead the bar for another term. So congratulations to lawyer Francis Kofi and your team. We look forward to a new year during your stewardship. Yes, saying yes, I think a lot of people make use of the services of the judiciary or the courts, because if you take major cities like Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, usually the courts are choked. There are a lot of people who have brought various cases, who have taken various cases to these courts. So you can see, and if you go to, let's say, Kumasi High Court, is a very the various courts are very busy courts, and you can see that people are taking chances with respect to the judicial process. And if you take the circuit courts, they are also very busy. We have gender courts for at the circuit level, usually busy with people bringing various applications in terms of custody of children, in terms of maintenance of children, in terms of issues of divorce, among others, as well as the other circuit court, which handles various matters, criminal as well as civil. And then if you, I'm sure anybody who has been to a super court know how busy the court is, and then formerly the Ashtown Court, which has also now been moved to the court opposite the Bank of Ghana. But I must also say that there are situations where you go to, let's say, the hinterlands or the rural areas, there are certain courts which are not that busy in terms of people taking advantage to present their cases. The judiciary has made effort to bring justice to the doorsteps of the people. So there are some districts, there are some towns which have court, but when you go there, it may not be that busy as other places. So that is why I would say yes and no. So the place where the courts are not that busy, maybe the people are not taking advantage of. But
the same apply for people who work in different, places. We have several jobs, and people do so many of them. Formal and informal and all that. Now, for one. Let me rephrase. For those who, for one reason or the other, do not get the right treatment, especially when there are injuries and accidents and deaths and wrongful dismissal and all, would you say that they also, make use of the courts well enough?
I'll say yes, especially when it comes to insurance claims, road traffic accidents.
No, I'm not talking about the road accidents per se. I'm looking at people who work in corporate institutions
and suffer various
injuries there.
And
whether wrongful dismissal, various harassments that go on, injuries and accidents, like this gentleman who has both legs amputated and all that. I'm asking the people where we work, if we're dealt wrongfully, do we take, do we just seek redress? Do we go to the court to see whether we'll get some help?
Yes, maybe I would say people taking on employers and then also suffering various predicaments one way or the other, and whether they take action with respect to those situations. Fine, that may not be that common. There are employment issues, especially with respect to wrongful termination or other issues in terms of appointments of people in various organizations. But I mean, you see a number of people who have claims with respect to the abuse of their rights, in terms of even sometimes calculation of their salary or various infractions with respect to their service, which they may not want to drag issues, or they may not want to take up those issues at the court with respect to their employers, among others. Because I mean, they will say it's like landlord tenant arrangement. If they're able to settle the matter among them, everybody carry on with his or her life. So in similar situation, when it comes to employer-employee, because people will say, I mean, so I mean, people will find a way to ventilate their issues where they are, and then take steps if they get a new job, or
if they just move.
Yes.
So they suffer in silence.
Yes. So with respect to the employees' issues, I mean, a lot of employees will end up suffer in silence and may not take any action. And because, I mean, maybe employers also know that, as we will say, the employees are timorous souls, and they will not be willing to take them on with respect to various abuse of the rights of the employee. The employers also sometimes take advantage of some of these things. So in terms of employer-employee issues, I'm sure there are a lot more people who can take advantage of the systems that have been provided per our laws and per the courts and the judiciary. I
don't know whether you'd agree with me that many sometimes keep quiet about some of these things. They suffer in silence simply because of the fact that they don't trust the system that much. If, for example, you have an employer who is well connected, you have an employer who is, he has money, and you just an employee, and you think that you're bringing up a case against a boss. It could be some sexual harassment, it could be anything at all. You haven't had an accident, and in the case of this gentleman whose case I used as a premise to our conversation, had an accident in the line of duty, has both legs amputated. Meanwhile, do we really trust the system, or indeed employers who have connections and money and all, they have their way, so we can't really do much?
David, I would rather say that is even the reason why people should rather take advantage. Because if the employer or the organization or the company is well resourced, then if you take an action, then the organization will be in a position to be able to pay any damages or any claims that will be made against the company, against the organization, or against the employer. So rather than people getting worried because the employer is resource, should rather be happy when the employer is highly resourced and the employer can be in a position to pay any compensation or any claims or any damages that can be leveled against the employer. And I'm sure that should rather be the motivation to a lot of people to take action against employer or employee or an organization that is abusing their right. Because, I mean, people should also understand that rights are made or laws are made in our statute books for them to be enforced. And until we enforce these laws which are available, we test them with respect to its efficacy, we as a nation or as a people will not come to know the challenges with respect to the law, and for us to maybe make it better, because the law is supposed to serve the citizens of this republic, and this republic as citizens must benefit from the laws that are available. So instead of them being intimidated by the resourcefulness of the employer or the employee, that should rather encourage them to take action so that their rights can be ventilated.
Well, as you listen to me, I don't know where you work. I don't know how you feel about the work you do. Are you comfortable? Are you okay? If you are, oh well and good. But if for whatever reason you think that something is happening that is, affecting your rights as a person, as a human being, and you're wondering what to really do about it, you're confused and concerned, well, you can send us your concerns. Send it to our Facebook page. Just search for Love 99.5 FM on Facebook. Find a Diaries post and ask your question. All right, so we'll give you advice as to what to do. Now, lawyer, let me ask this question. For you to have enough case to win, at the courts, you need to have a bit of evidence that will speak for you. So, in order not to just go, take a matter up, go to a lawyer, go to courts and not win, what would you say are some of the things that we need to gather by way of evidence that would make our case solid? If, for example, somebody is being harassed, somebody's human rights is being trampled upon, you were sent on official duty and you had an accident and you had one arm or a leg, amputated, but you come back and your bosses tell you, well, indeed, you were not on an errand for us. Maybe you were doing your own thing, you had the accident, so therefore you cannot come up to us and claim whatever. How do you put together enough evidence that will help you or help your case?
Very well. Yes. I think you've asked an important question. Yes. Once you join an organization or you are employed by organization, we have our Labor Act, which has been on our statute books for a while, and sometimes in this republic, sometimes it looks like people push for various laws to be promulgated, and then when the law is promulgated, everybody goes to sleep. Something like the domestic violence bill, which a lot of people pushed, and now it's been an act for a while now, but there are certain provisions which are still not, but I don't see the level of the same advocacy which was available during the time that people wanted the law to be promulgated. So in similar ways, we have the Labor Act. The Labor Act also indicates that with respect to employment, there must be a contractual relationship which will state the terms of your employment. So clearly, that once you have that then engages or gets you into some contractual relationship with the employer. And when you are taking various steps of the organization, things must be properly documented, because in our part of the world, a lot of engagement are done by word of mouth, because you have somebody enter into an arrangement with somebody with amount 500,000 Ghana cedis, and is by word of mouth. I mean, it's such situation is clearly unfounded, and it does not help the person who is engaging you in that contractual arrangement. So, I mean, it's such that when people get their employment letter, sometimes then, I mean, from there everything becomes by word of mouth in terms of the relation with his superior or the employer of the boss. But as you are saying, if you are going on trek or you are engaging in other hazardous activity which will affect your health, which will affect your safety, then I think it will be proper that things are properly documented, so things are properly written down, so that if there's any issue, you can show. Because at the end of the day, when, as you said, when you determine your right at the court, you must show evidence, you must show document to indicate that this is the engagement that I had, and then this is the reason for which I should be considered for this claim that I'm making. So let's take example. Section 8 of the Labor Act indicates rights of employer.
Okay.
And he said that the rights of an employer include the right to employ a worker, discipline, transfer, promote, and terminate the employment of the worker. And B, formulate policies, execute plans and programs to set targets. C, modify, extend, or cease operations, among others. And then 9 deals with duties of employers. Let me just take this one. Provide work, appropriate raw materials, machinery, equipment, and tools.
Okay.
Yes, so if, and let's just look at the rights of a worker. The rights of a worker include the right to work under satisfactory, safe, and healthy conditions.
Satisfactory, safe and healthy conditions.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's, if you are working in a facility or in an organization where certain things are challenged, you have a right as an employer per the Labor Act to bring this attention to the employers. And don't just go to the employer's office or management office and just vent your issues on them and just be assured. Put it in writing. Put something on paper. Write something. Document it.
Okay.
Give their copy. Keep your copy. So that in case these challenges that you are facing become harmful at the end of the day to your well-being, to your livelihood in the organization, then you can easily do a paper trail and provide the evidence and make your claim that this and this and this, I anticipated this situation, I made this report, I expressed this concern, these were the steps that were taken, or these were the assurances that were given me, but the said assurances were never fulfilled. So that when any objective-minded person is certain or adjudicating on your claim or on your case, the fair minds can come to some level of agreement and say that indeed you deserve this claim and you deserve this case to
or the compensation
that you are making. So I think, and I want also to bring this point to our listeners, that this exercise helps our system to be streamlined, because any employer or organization that will suffer any damage or any payment against the will of the organization will take steps the next time that the right things are done. So that if today you have suffered this level of damage, the next person who comes after you will have a better workplace to enjoy his or her work and be able to deploy the talent fully for the benefit of the citizens of this republic.
All right, so you tell me, where do you work? Would you say where you work, you have the things that, the lawyer mentioned? He mentioned satisfactory, he mentioned safety, and of course, healthy conditions. Would you say that where you work, the conditions are healthy? Are they safe? Are you satisfied with it? When we return from our very first break, we'll, go with case by case, conversations. We'll begin with this gentleman who, in the line of duty, was involved in an accident that resulted, in a situation where both legs were amputated. Now, when this happened, I'm told that his employer or employers took care of his medical bills while he was on admission at the hospital. Upon discharge from the hospital, they terminated his appointment and gave him 3 months of his salary, and that was it. He's now home with both legs gone, and he lost both legs whilst working for this organization. They sent him on an errand, on an assignment, and he had an accident, and this happened. And we've had several cases where people who go to work in places where, for example, you have machines, factories where there are machines, and you're working, and you have one arm chopped off, or you have some nail going through the eye and all that. What should you do under such a situation or such a circumstance? What should you do? There are people who tell you that they are being harassed by their bosses. Maybe there's a young girl in the office who likes one particular guy, and then the boss of the place realizes that a girl is interested in this boy while he is interested in the girl, and the girl is not interested in him. So he finds a very nice way of making sure that this guy is transferred. What do you do under such circumstances? We'll talk more about these when we return. Please don't go away. This is The Diary, and it's on Love 99.5. We'll be right back.
Oh, this gate. Hey, Mr. Techi, please come and help me open my gate. I beg you. What is wrong with this gate? You know, this is the second time I've changed this gate after the thieves broke into my shop 2 months ago. When I open it, it always gets stuck in the middle here. I don't know why. I'm even tired of it.
Paco, I've always been telling you, never compromise on quality. You see, I've been using my roller shutter gate for the past 10 years, and I have never had any problems with it because I got it from Donima Steel Complex. Donima Steel Complex provides quality roller shutter gates at affordable prices. They are of high quality and impossible to break in. That's not all. They have the manual and automatic gate systems, which are ideal for warehouses, domestic stores, and garages. And they are installed by professionals without any extra charges.
Had I known.
Don't had I known, yeah. Locate Donima Steel Complex at Asafo, YF Junction, near the Ghana Revenue Authority office, or call 0244-126-625. Donima Steel Complex, home of tropical products.
For the past 12 years, New Generation Investment Services Limited, a leading investment banking firm, has guided thousands of institutions and retail investors to make millions in secured portfolio investments. New Generation Investment Services Limited is licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the National Pension Regulatory Authority. We offer Treasury Bill Plus fixtures for products such as fixed deposits, premium investments, NGI's Child Care Investment, and Diamond Plus investment plans, as well as manages Tier 2 and Tier 3 pension funds. NGI's Limited also manages the Enidaso Mutual Fund. Talk to our seasoned investment advisors now, and we will structure an investment portfolio for you. Visit us at first floor Kokobo Jubilee House, Adum Kumasi, and second floor Abosoma Kotre House near Cocoa House, Sunyani, or our website www.ngis-group.com. Call us in Kumasi on 03220-91608 or in Sunyani on 0352-197-482. New Generation Investment Services Limited, achieving excellent returns on your investment.
You are great, yes, you are.
The Word of God is a strong foundation, a rock that keeps us standing through the storms of life and exposes our innermost thoughts and desires. Join the International Central Gospel Church Trinity Temple, Kwadaso, every Sunday from 8 to 10:30 a.m. as we help you discover your purpose through life-transforming messages. Remember, the proof of a desire is in its pursuit. Don't miss our weekly services on Wednesdays and Fridays from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Your life will never be the same.
Oh, yeah. Say you are great. You are great. Say you are great. You are great. Everything
about you. Well, we're back live on your radio. Good afternoon to you once again. In case you just joined us, welcome to The Diary. My name is David AKUETTEH. Now, a young man had an accident in the line of official duty and consequently lost both legs by amputation. His employer subsequently terminated his appointment and gave him 3 months' salary. Now, how did the company arrive at that decision? Would you accept or reject such an offer? If not, what legal remedies are available to you against such infractions, like wrongful dismissal, transfer, and all manner of harassment? Now, who is better protected by the law? Who is better protected by the law? Is it the employer or the employee? Well, we're having this conversation because many people are having problems at their workplaces, but they keep quiet. Like I asked an earlier question, they keep quiet and suffer in silence. Is that a way to go? I don't think so. And that's why we're having this conversation, bringing to your attention the fact that you have rights. And once you have rights, you need to ensure that you take advantage of them. Now, our lawyer here has told us a lot of things already. One of the things that has stuck in my mind is that you need to work in an environment where it is satisfactory, it is safe, and has healthy conditions. Would you say that where you are, you have such a thing there? I mean, is it satisfactory to you? Is it safe? Is it healthy? Or it's not? Now, again, for those who are listening, if you think you have a case and you want to even go to court with it, you need to have evidence. How do you even gather those evidence? Well, again, lawyer told us what we need to do, especially for those of you who work in places where you think that it's not that safe. You could write a letter to authority, and if they don't do anything, well, about it, you have kept copies of those letters. So in case anything happens, you wrote to them, you have your copy, and you can use that one. If you're going on a trip, sponsored or an assignment, by your employee has actually gone on an assignment, what do you do? In case there's an accident, how do you even prove that, well, it was that assignment that you were embarking on that, you were involved in an accident, and so therefore, well, they ought to compensate you and compensate you rightly. We shall be talking about that and more. But before we do, lawyer, help me. I've heard what people call some say the workman's compensation, others say the workplace compensation. What is it? Is it workman compensation or workplace compensation?
Yes, David, actually the title of the act is Workmen's Compensation
Workmen's,
Act.
Okay. Workmen's Compensation Act. Okay.
Yes.
What does it say?
Yes, this is an act that deals with, I would say, liabilities with respect to on the job.
Okay.
And if I may take you directly to the act, Section 1 indicates that this act applies to employees employed by the Republic as well as private persons.
Okay.
So employees employed by the Republic. So whether you are in state agency, government institution, quasi-government establishment, or a private organization, this act applies. And Section 2 indicates employers' liability for compensation.
Okay.
Employers' liability for compensation. And the Act 1 says that where an employee sustains personal injury by accident arising out of and in the course of employment, the employer is liable, subject to this act, to pay compensation in accordance with this act. So this indicates the sustenance of personal injury with respect to an employee in the course of his or her employment. And then the law makes it emphatic that it's the employer who is liable to pay compensation when such situations happen.
Who determines what compensation to give or to pay?
The law makes room for certain calculations to be done.
Okay.
Yes, because it states that section 4, employer to pay medical expenses. In an injury under this act, the employer shall pay the medical expenses in respect of the injury. And 5, compensation for permanent total incapacity. Where permanent total incapacity results from the injury, the amount of compensation shall be a sum of money equal to 96 months earnings.
96 months earnings?
Yeah.
If it's total incapacitation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are various permutations, sometimes even whether the assessment of the person to check whether there is partial incapacity, full capacity,
or permanent.
The situation where medical officers will come in to make those levels of assessment, and then together with the employer there can be discussions, and then the employee discussion as to how much to be paid or to settle on the amount. So there are various, the law makes room for various
you don't necessarily go to court, but let the lawyers come in and then they talk legal stuff, and then they arrive as to what you ought to be giving.
Yes, absolutely. You as an employee can talk to the employer, and then you can agree on terms. So
at what point in time do you say, well, you're taking the matter to court? At what point in time would you say, you're going to court? Is it when you're not satisfied, or when the employer is not giving you the money or the compensation? At what point in time do you say you're taking action or taking the matter to court?
It's similar to insurance claims,
Okay.
When people suffer personal injuries and they are making claims against various insurance companies, insurance companies may be willing to deal with the individuals because maybe their expectations may not be matched.
Okay.
But I'm sure if they bring in their legal counsel to give them proper assessment of their liability and the effect. So the same thing applies with this issue. you, the employee, can negotiate with the employer, and then also, if you have legal representation, can also come in and make a proper claim on your behalf, so that what you are duly properly entitled to, you can be paid. So during these negotiations, if there is some level of misunderstanding or disagreement, then the court is the final authority for judicial adjudication. So once you are, especially you are making a claim that I have suffered this, I'm at this age, looking at my age, whether married or unmarried. If you are not married, it means prospect. If you are married, you have children, how do you take care of your kids? So all these things can be factored in the assessment. And if you make this claim and maybe the employer thinks that, this your claim is unfounded, then they also will make their case towards you in terms of their ability to pay, because at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense if what you are claiming will end up collapsing the organization completely. So there will be this discussion which will ensure that both parties can commit to the claim and the payment to be done, so that both parties can be happy. But when one party feels that this claim, especially you, the employee who has suffered liability, then you can take on the organization in court. You make your case to the court, and then for the court to determine whether your claim is in line with the law as provided, or you are acting on your own imagination. Then the court will come to a determination that will be fair and just to the parties involved.
But here again, you talked about the fact that when it comes to the compensation, we have two employers here: government employers and private employers. Now let's talk about private employer. For example, I'm putting up a house, and I've called on people to come in and assist with, let's say, the block cutting or whatever it is. And then whilst they're mixing the cement and the sand with a machine, somebody puts a hand in the machine. Unfortunately, the machine cuts off the hand. Somebody's working in a timber firm somewhere. The factory machine cuts off a hand. You're working with nails, and what do you call it? The nail. Unfortunately, you're hitting a hammer on the head of the nail, and it ends up in your eye. A lot of things happen. There are drivers who go on long distance trips, and some of the drivers were told that the engine is where the seats are. So therefore, you sit on the seat for a long time. The heat, boils your stuff, and you're not able to make babies and all that. In all this, do people have cases?
Oh yes, absolutely.
The car that you came, you saw where the engine is. You sat, in this car. You worked with this car for like 2 years, and then you want to make babies, and you can't. You go to the hospital, and the doctor can say, car now, the engine is what's the reason to? I'm at testicles, I know so
that's affected your sperm. Sperm production.
So you go back to the owner of the vehicle and say, boss, say this will compensate me. Is that what we're talking about here?
No. Yes, because you have suffered some incapacitation because the ability to procreate has been affected, and it's as a result of you being in the employment of the employer. So the claim, because we have to establish the relationship, the contractual arrangement. Because let's take the example that you made. You made the molding of blocks. Yes, because then there are various scenarios. There are some construction engagement that, let's say, there will be somebody who will take the contract from the house owner and then engages
a foreman.
Engage the foreman, and the foreman will bring his boys. So we have to establish the relationship with the, let's say, the labourer for the day. And the relationship of the labourer with the foreman of the contractor who took the contractual arrangement with the house owner, or whether the house owner himself organized the boys to come and mold the blocks. So the contractual arrangement will have to be established. So once we establish that, then we know who is the employer and who is the employee. So then once we can establish that fact, then we can extrapolate. Then the employee can then make a claim against the employer, and for the employer to, because the law says that the employer is liable.
Okay.
So then the employer will make the necessary compensation and payment that will be required.
What about negligence on the part of the employee? If I've given you a machine to work with, I have taught you how to use a machine, you're not conversant with the machine, or maybe you're even conversant with the machine. Yes, I know accidents happen or occur, but due to your own negligence, you lose an arm or something like that. How about that?
Yes, the law takes care of this as well, so that it states in 2.5 that the employer is not liable to pay compensation in respect of an injury to an employee resulting from an accident which is attributable to the employee having been under the influence of drink or drugs at the same time of the accident. So when it can be assessed that you have been trained, because the law with respect to workmen compensation, with respect to Labour Act, the employer has a responsibility and a duty to train the employee, or the employee has the responsibility to make him or herself available for training. So once you have been trained, you have been shown the procedures of accomplishing a particular task with respect to your job, and you on your own, on a frolic of your own, refuse or do not follow those procedures, then your claim against the employer is likely not to be successful. So employees should take notice, because I mean, if let's say your employment, you are supposed to wear a mask, but because of some level of laxity and lack of supervision, you on your own refused to wear, or you are is in a construction site, you are supposed to wear a helmet, you refuse not to wear it, or you are in these mining communities, you are supposed to wear a vest which will provide some flashlights for people to indicate, and then so that you don't suffer anything, and then you abuse all these procedures and regulations, which I'm sure once you came into the employment of the organization, you were taken through, you were trained, you were some organization will even give documents with respect to the work schedule and the processes that you have to go through to do the job. So if you neglect or you refuse not to follow these procedures, then you cannot come back to claim any liability against the employer in case you suffer personal injury or personal liability. And as I was also saying earlier on, in terms of documenting our processes, we are also in a society where sometimes when people are supposed to follow processes, like even driving and wearing seatbelts, people will tell you that your trick harness are your seatbelt, or riding motorbikes without helmet. I mean, you are clearly putting your life in danger.
Okay.
So if you get somebody who is asking you to go through these processes, and if you want the employer to be liable, then you must follow this process, so that you can, when there is any injury, it will not be such devastating to your health or to your condition, and you can also make the necessary claim against the employer.
What if the employer can't pay?
Yes, so when we were earlier on having this discussion, I made the case that your claim should not be something that will end up collapsing the organization, because at the end of the day, if the organization can't pay and you go to court and you get a judgment with some huge amount against the organization, and you come back, the organization is not in the position to pay, you have gotten hollow judgment. I mean, it brings nothing to you. So, and actually, if you look at the law makes way for interaction. So that's why initially I said the employee himself can engage the employer, and I mean, put the issues at stake and for discussions to be made, so that at least you have been an employee of the organization, you know the strength and capabilities of the organization. Yes, so taking all those into consideration, so that it's better to get something that you can live your life on than to end up getting nothing. So people in making such claims should consider the ability, the state of the organization and the ability of the organization to pay. And that's why I said that if you have a boss who is resourceful, that should rather be a motivation
for you to take up some
action, not to be intimidated.
Let's talk about these are cases where one has had an accident, or has had an injury, and so therefore you're talking about the 96 months. If the person is totally incapacitated, 96 months of the person's salary, blah blah. We've talked about all that. Yeah. What if the person loses life in the line of duty? You lose your life. Is there compensation to be paid? And at that point in time, how do you work out that one? Because indeed, at least we've been able to put some figures to accidents, loss of limbs, or whatever. How about loss of life? And I'll take responses when we return. Well, but again, thank you very much, listeners, for making time to join us this afternoon. This is Love 99.5, and you're listening to The Diary. Now, I don't know, are you a worker? Are you an employee or an employer? Whichever way it is, this conversation is about you and I. And we're having this conversation because a lot of wrongs are happening out there. People are being shortchanged. People are, keeping quiet and suffering in silence, and it is all because they don't even know whether there are such opportunities for them to have compensations if they have injuries. So are you comfortable where you work? Are there challenges? Are there issues? What have you done about it? Have you been sacked unlawfully? Have you been, transferred? Are you being harassed at your workplace? What does the law say? A lot has been said this afternoon, but if you want clarity, you know what to do. First of all, you can log on to Facebook and drop your questions there, or better still, just hold on your thoughts and we will activate the phone lines and hear from you. Central University, Ghana's biggest private university, is inviting applications from qualified students for the 2017-2018 February admissions. Now, the undergraduate programs on offer include Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and they have BA in Psychology, Sociology, Social Work, Communication Studies, Environment and Development Studies, French, English, and BSc Economics. I have a friend here who is studying social work. Okay. Central Business School also has a BSc Management Studies, Agribusiness Management, Banking and Finance, BSc Business Administration with options in Marketing, Human Resource Management and Accounting. School of Architecture and Science has Nursing, Physician Assistantship, Civil Engineering, Architecture, Computer Science, Information Technology, amongst others. When we come to the School of Pharmacy, they have Bachelor of Pharmacy. Faculty of Law, well, they have the Bachelor of Laws. School of Theology and Missions, they have BA Theology, Family Counseling, Christian Education, and Church Administration. They also have graduate programs, which of course include MBA Finance, MBA Marketing, and MBA General Management. They also have Executive Masters in Leadership and Governance, Master of Arts and Master of Philosophy in Religious Studies, amongst others. Visit our Kumasi campus, CCC, near KNUST police station, Eija. For further information, you kindly call us on 0271 218986 or 03 96189, or send us a WhatsApp to 0233 313180. Central University, raising transformational leaders. Now, the Word of God is a strong foundation, isn't it? Well, to me, I know it is. It's a rock that keeps us standing through the storms of life and exposes our innermost thoughts and desires. ICGC Trinity Temple, Kwadaso, invites you to join their live broadcast every Sunday from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and it's live on Love 99.5 as they help you to discover your purpose through life-transforming messages. You can also join in their weekday services. That's on Wednesdays and Fridays at 6:30 p.m. and it ends at 8 p.m. at the church premises. The Lord is blessing you as you make a date with them. Shalom, peace, prayer. For prayers, counseling, and inquiries, you can call 020-811-3504. Now, you know what? I'll be telling you about Dodima Company Limited shortly. But before I do, for the past 12 years, New Generation Investment Services Limited, a leading investment firm, has guided thousands of institutions and retail investors to make millions in secured portfolio investments. New Generation Investment Services Limited is licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. They offer Treasury Bill Plus fixtures for products like fixed deposits, premium investment, childcare investment, Diamond Plus investment plans. They also manage Tier 2 and Tier 3 pension funds. They also manage Enidaso Mutual Fund, the very first collective investment scheme to be established outside Accra. What I want you to do this afternoon is to talk to their seasoned investment advisors for a structured investment portfolio. Because if your future is going to be solid, beautiful, and and nice, you need the right investments. Visit them at the first floor, Cocoa Board Jubilee House. It's in Edum Kumasi. You can also find them at the second floor, Abosoma Kotre House. That's near Cocoa House, Asonyani. Visit their website on www.ngis-group.com or give them a call on 03220-91608 or 0352-197-482. New Generation Investment Services Limited, achieving excellent returns on your investments. Now, I would like to tell you about Donima Steel Complex Limited, but you know what? Before I do, let's go for a short break, and when we return, I'll tell you about Donima Steel Company Limited.
Memory down the past area, me family cast off when I'm a promi engine. That's just the Nkonkwa. Maniche Ultimate Fashions. Any Ultimate Furniture City. Ultimate Fashions. That's your money, Memina. That's a man increasing my swagger. His son said, me qua designer chefs beat his head. Ferdinando, Kenneth Cole, Max Fendi, Perry Jacobs. Any the Akikan who be brave. Nina, Minya Bito. Ultimate Bet Show Italian shoes, slippers, and sandals. Khaki, any material trousers. Office, any wedding wear. For the ladies, Ultimate were all kinds of American designer dresses. Say be a wedding our engagement and a dinner be or party be the best chef is through costume form and Ultimate Fashions what it. Branda Ajiti will be Ultimate and will be Ellen Tracy and Adriana Papel, Jones New York, Tahari, Casper, any baby. For today's perfect gentleman and lady, the only place to go are your Ultimate Fashions. Ultimate Furniture City. The furniture store be also said or more living room furniture, bedroom sets, dining room sets, garden and a porch chairs. Actually, Ultimate Furniture City, catch on so because Ultimate, selection and the BNA plus 3, and your money fair, and your money heavy, and your money a class. Or be round them na say what on your Murphy Ultimate Furniture City. And one way who dibre, make a shinukute and basta whole looking funky. Messi and Fremi Ultimate qua. If it be binty, Ultimate Fashions and Furniture City. Simply a touch of style. Medu Ultimate Ewedum Methodist in Chenwa.
The great thing about life is that we are all different and we are free to enjoy life's different flavors everywhere. Under the blazing sun or during a fun night out with a crew, it doesn't matter because at that moment, all you need to do is reach for a Club Mineral to turn up the sweet, bitter, bubbly, spicy or tangy flavor. Whether Club Orange, Club Cola, Club Muscatella, Club Soda or Club Tonic, there's a flavor for everyone. Turn up the flavor. Club Minerals, there's a flavor for everyone.
All right, so if you've been following the conversation, you know what we've been talking about. We've been talking about compensations that people don't get, although they are working in places where accidents and other injuries occur. There's this young man who's lost both legs, and this was in a line of duty. He was going on an assignment, and unfortunately, the vehicle was involved in an accident, and this happened. What the company did was, they sorted out the bills that he was incurred at the hospital, and upon his discharge from the hospital, then they gave him 3 months' salary, and that was it. He was relieved of his duty. Was that enough? Lawyer says no. Now you can give us a call on 03220-83596. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So give us a call now on 03220-83596. If there is a question or a contribution, it is very much welcome right now. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Sherry Daniel. Welcome. Let's say Sherry.
Great show, but the time is too short. I have a question for the lawyer. What about in terms of services? Let's say going to the hospital and the doctor mistakenly prescribed a drug for the person and the person takes it. In this case, the person used it for the eyes and the person has gone blind since then. What am I supposed to sue the hospital, the doctor, or both? Thank you.
Well, thank you for your call. Yes, Tanko, good afternoon.
Oh, thank you, sir. David.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
no more drama now.
Okay. Regards to your final, everybody wants to see you.
Okay.
You should have invited the labor officer because during our youthful age, before you get employment, you've got to go to labor office. They give you a introduction card. The company wants 3 people. You use about 5 people, and then the company will let you come to the labor. So the labor is in knowledge with that, but of late backdoor. This is the problem. Even the recruitment of the security services protocol. So next time,
I hear you. It's not cool. Well, sorry, we lost you there. You can give us a call on 03220-83596 if you have a question or a contribution. You can give us a call now, and we would hear you. Let me go to the phone lines. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, what's your name?
Yeah, my name is Vicentia.
Vicentia, welcome. Let's hear you.
Thank you. I was listening to the lawyer concerning the issues you were discussing. But I wanted to suggest that maybe the next time you should bring an HR person to add to the lawyer. So while he is explaining the legal aspect, the HR person too will be bringing out the HR issues. Concerning the guy's issue, fine. The company, I don't know if they follow the procedures that are stated in the Labor Act. Because the Labor Act indicates that if they have not been able to sort it out within the company, that is within the representative of the individual working there and then the employer, what the individual has to do is to write to the National Labour Commission, because they have been situated in the labour employment section to deal with legal issues, because as an employee, you don't have to go to court. And as an employer too, you don't have to go to court concerning work relations issues. So what I think the guy should do is to write to the NLC, and they will give a further direction to the company on what to do. Whether they will have to reinstate him into a place that maybe his amputation will be able to be effective over there, or they will direct that he should be compensated well. With that one too must follow directly the what has been stated in the Workmen's Compensation Act, because it gives rightly, if it is your arm, there is what the person is supposed to pay. If it is a finger, what you are supposed to pay. All are stated in the Workmen's Compensation Act. So I think if they follow the procedure, then the termination too, there should be a notice. And if that notice does not come, there is something that they have to do to pay in due of notice. So all those things have to be followed. So I think the guy should write to the NLC, and then they will continue from there.
I hear you, Vicentia. Thank you very much for your call. And NLC here is the National Labour Commission. Dixon. Hello, Dixon.
Hello.
Yes, Dixon, let's hear you, sir.
Yeah, good. Like I said, these things are all paperwork. Frankly speaking, if we are to go to the companies and ask, even how many of the companies pay for their workers? Look, if you remember, the day you asked me, when we were discussing about the COVID sort of thing, when you asked if I happen to have a chance of going to COVID, will I go? And I said yes. Yeah, because the way that we've been doing that is not what they've been giving us. Because you'll be struggling with going up and down just to make sure the company runs. Yet, you don't get anything out of it. This, assuming without admitting, the guy who had an accident, who happens to have his legs amputated, and he was given, how do I call it, a 3-month salary. You cannot I think there's a lot to be done.
Indeed, there's a lot to be done. Let me just try and pick one more call, and then we'll wrap up on the phone lines. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Reverend Acosta, welcome. Let's hear you.
All right, thank you. David, I'm asking the question now. If I employ someone who is a driver and is supposed to wear a seatbelt, or anytime he sits in this in front of the car, and he didn't wear the seatbelt, an accident come, and the investigation has proved that it's because the driver didn't wear a seatbelt that's caused that damage or injury to him. What is the fate of the company? What the company has to do about that situation?
Well, I hear you. Well, there's also negligence in there, and so I think some of these things will come up in that case. Donima Steel Complex Limited is an amazing company that is around, and they're helping a lot of people make sure that they get the right materials for their building projects. Now, they have Aluzing and galvanized brands of tropical roofing sheets that come in plain and in color. They also have the strips, the IBR, and the step tiles. Long span roofing sheets also available in various colors. Now, for those of you who are looking for roller shutter gates, they have them available for you. They have the manual ones that you have to use your macho to open or close, and then they have the automatic ones that is operated by a remote control. If you're looking for the best nails on the market, they have what they call the Carpenter's Choice. It's tropical nails that I'm talking about. It's available in all sizes from size 1 to 6. All right, so if you're interested, which of course you ought to be, you can find them at Asafo YF Junction near the Ghana Revenue Services office. They have outlets at Pankrono next to Etimitim Junction. In Edum, you can find them at Pampas opposite Ultimate Fashions, at Estresso they are opposite the Palace, and at Bantima opposite the Pentecost Church. They have branches like Tamale, you can go to Canville near King David Junction, and in Accra, Katamanto. Call them today on 0540 101 555 or 0244 126 628. Home of tropical products. So, lawyer, I mean, most of the people have raised concerns, and I like the advice Vicentia also gave. But I think Dixon and all the callers, they just made contributions apart from Sherry. What do you have to say to Sherry Daniel?
Yes, that's the first caller.
Yes,
right? Yes. So he asked question with respect to services, and then she raised the issue of hospital and doctor. So that's client-doctor relationship, and then the hospital. So maybe one day you should have a show on that one. Okay. Yes, okay. But you can also make claim against the doctor and the hospital. Then that is also available. And then Dixon said these are all paperwork, but it's true. I mean, they will remain paperwork or statutes on our law books until somebody takes it and try to ventilate it. Okay. So we encourage our listeners and citizens of this republic to take advantage of that. And then I think the last caller, the Reverend, asked about the driver.
That's negligence. So, you didn't wear a seatbelt.
Yeah, if you're not wearing a seatbelt, it will affect the claim of liability against your employer.
Lawyer, thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you to our listeners.
Well, tomorrow will be time for us to do something about our skin. The dermatologist will be here tomorrow. We'll talk about our skin and all right? So make a date and don't be late. My name is David AKUETTEH. Up next, we've got sports for you, and so stick and stay and enjoy. Good afternoon.